Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
But inside is so delightful.
It's Christmas in July.
Season 5.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Bum.
Um,
That's right, folks. We are back once again. We just got done talking about one of the most wholesome slices of Americana I've ever seen in the Honeymooners Christmas special. So, Dragon, I ask you, man, after we got that great slice of humble pie and we're just in an uplifted mood, there's not an ounce of cynicism in the room. What are we going to talk about next?
let me think. Well, we need something to offset all that wondrous, all that wondrous, wholesome black and white '50s goodness. All that kind of like the days of I Love Lucy and Ralph and Alice, kind of going at it. We need something to offset that. We need chaos. We need parodies. We need pseudoscience. We need mind bending concepts and ideas and turtles stacked upon turtles, man. We need something like Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I think so. All right, folks. So today we're talking about Rick and Morty, Anatomy Park. Of course, Dragon, you, Jacob, and I, we, not the Jacob in this episode.
No, that'd be great though if we had the Jacob in this episode.
Yeah, of course, you, Jacob, and I, well, I don't know. The Jacob in this episode is a little sketchy.
I don't know. He's nice. He seems nice.
But we reviewed season 3 of Rick and Morty. We did that episode by episode as it was airing. But we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about any of these early Rick and Morty episodes, Dragon. And this episode was actually really early on in the Rick and Morty run. And we'll kind of talk about it as we go through it, how Rick and Morty had like a very specific pattern for what they would do with the episodes, a very specific kind of formula that they got more and more away from. And I got to tell you, it's kind of nice going back to this old school formula for this show, because I think it worked really well for season 1 before the show got like way more. Basically, Dragon, the formula I'm talking about is basically we'll get into it as we break down the episode itself. But what I'm talking about is basically there was a formula to this show for every episode, I would say essentially until the Rick Potion episode. The Love Potion.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Cronenberg episode.
Yeah.
And then after that, the show just got high concept and crazy as hell. But we'll get into it. It was nice to kind of revisit the structure.
So let's reveal what specific episode we're talking about.
Welcome to Anatomy Park.
Which looks a little something like... There we go.
I mean, it doesn't really look like that specifically, but...
Sure, but I mean, it was like in the garage you have that guy who technically is Anatomy Park. So I don't know, it's roughly, it's in the same area. But anyway, so folks, yes, Rick and Morty, I guess on the whole for me, Rick and Morty is a show that, I like, I don't love it, but I've watched every episode, so I guess that means they're doing something right for me. And you look at season 3 is definitely more ambitious with what it's doing with the story structure, which is really commendable. I really liked it. I hear it kind of polarizes some people. By the same token, I think you're absolutely right, Tiki. It is. It feels very different from what they were starting with in the beginning here, and this, of course, is the 3rd episode in the history of Rick and Morty. So
yes. Basically, I'll kind of break it down right now, really quick, to put it simply. Okay. Rick and Morty, it started out as a show where it was essentially like, how much abuse can Rick throw Morty's way? Like, just how much can Morty take from Rick and his crazy adventures? And that was kind of the format for most of the episodes. If you kind of look at it, it's just kind of like Rick gets Morty into an impossible situation, and it's almost kind of like torture porn for Morty to find his way out of it.
Four-armed fatherhood.
But you see what I'm saying, though,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right.
So, real quick, a little bit of background on this. So this specific episode, the pitch of this episode was basically it started off as a Thanksgiving episode with the zombies in the human body instead of a Jurassic Park knockoff. So again, originally it wasn't even a Christmas episode, and it was going to be about these two races. It was going to be kind of like it was going to be a parallel with the Native Americans and zombies, where it was going to be you're going to have like kind of like a Native American affair with this tribe called the Smidgets. There were going to be blue Smidgets and there were going to be green Smidgets, and one of them was basically going to be a parallel to the whole, like, they've taken things from the kind of the Native American side, which I think were the green ones. I can't recall, but essentially that's where the episode started. And in the Rick and Morty writing room, there are a lot of changes that get made to an episode, and that gets us to Christmas Day. So with that said, I guess let's dive right into it.
All right, let's jump into it. So Jerry's singing a very lame Christmas song to start things out. And
I gotta tell you, like, the only one of the few likable Jerry episodes for me, because Jerry, honestly, especially when we get to season 3, Jerry gets on my nerves. But I mean, the early seasons, Jerry was okay. We had like one of those bits where, Jerry.
I feel like Jerry started out as like the sympathetic sad sack before he just kind of became pathetic.
Yeah.
All right. So
he's preparing ham.
Wow, Jerry, you're really giving it to this ham, aren't you?
Yeah. And he wants his family to stow the screens for his parents who are coming to visit. Wants kind of an old-fashioned human holiday, basically a holiday about humanity. And Morty has this great. They got a lot of great lines in this episode here. One of them being, "I thought Christmas was all about. I thought Christmas was about
like being half God or something."
Yeah, that's such a great line.
I like how he says it so passively too.
I know, it's great. And then Summer, like, of course, the girl who's glued to her phone, she's very reluctant to give
Put it in the stocking, Summer, or I'm joining Facebook.
Summer, of course, gasps, and then, of course, relinquishes her phone. Meanwhile, Rick.
So this is going to be fun to track, Dragon, because Rick and Morty is one of those shows. It's kind of like regular show in the sense that it starts out with like a simple to understand premise that soon just balloons out of control. So Rick walks in with a hobo Santa Claus, Ruben. He's an old friend from Pearl Harbor.
Yep, from Pearl Harbor.
And he's here to give Ruben a little medical evaluation. It's a holiday tradition. And Beth, of course, just thinks it's so sweet that her father's helping someone.
Good old Beth. Beth just taking it as it is.
Oh, man.
She sees the nice.
Like I said, Dragon, what starts out is just like, oh, this is nice. Like Rick's helping a homeless guy for the holidays. Oh, it just, Jesus Christ.
Helps a little drifter Santa Claus. That all seems above board. By the way, of course, here we're tracking some tropes here. Of course, trope right off the bat. The family Christmas. The
in-laws coming.
In-laws coming, sure, and of course the whole, like, hey, bring in a visitor, kind of like the Draft Dodger episode of All in the Family. We have kind of our unfamiliar visitor entering the guest star, if you will, kind of our drifter guest star.
Also preparing Christmas dinner.
Yes, and ham, Christmas ham. Never underestimate the power of Christmas ham. Let's look at Christmas in the Cranks. We got holiday, the hickory smoked honey ham in that one.
But what if you're Jewish?
Well, then I imagine you wouldn't buy the ham, Tiki.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I'm thinking of an obscure Survivor quote, but I won't bore you with it.
Appreciate it. So let's see. So again, like, oh, that seems...
he can't eat ham. I'm sorry.
Well, so much for that hope. Anyway, so it all seems nice, and then Beth is like, Beth's like, oh, ain't that nice? Of course, Jerry says, yeah, that is nice. I don't get it. So again, Jerry's a little suspicious of his old father-in-law there, but as Ruben is whisked away, and as Jerry's parents show up, like Rick says, have a nice day in your proverbial Phil Collins paradise. Kind of a random Phil Collins reference, but I'll go with it. So let's see. So Jerry's parents arrive with an interloper named Jacob. Basically, the very collegial-looking gentleman in the frame right now.
And he says he compliments Jerry's apron. And also he name drops Sonoma, Dragon. Did you catch that?
I thought I heard something like Sonoma or something.
Okay, Dragon, I live in Sonoma County.
All right.
So every time Sonoma gets name dropped, I kind of perk up a little bit.
That's nice.
The way I'm kind of picturing this joke playing out is that Sonoma County is known as kind of like a yuppie community, kind of like a rich upper class community. So,
that
hey,
tracks.
have you been to Sonoma?
That makes sense. I kind of buy that. It kind of makes sense. Kind of like Jerry's parents, it would seem.
Yeah. Right.
So,
It's
by
kind
the
of like people think of Sonoma County as wine country, even though it's not. That's Napa Valley, but I digress. I'm getting into semantics here.
I gotta tell you, it's like visually, I really like Jacob. Jacob started off really differently, by the way. Jacob, from what I heard, was actually supposed to be in the initial pitch. Of course, evolves, folks. A big surprise there. There's a lot of ideas that evolved in this. And the initial pitch with Jacob was that he was going to drug everybody with LSD at dinner.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, that is way different.
And you'll notice then, we'll get into it, there is something kind of lacking from this episode, and that's because they kind of made that change with the LSD plot line.
Okay.
This guy, that's the thing, that's why he seems all nice and cordial, and there's something a little off about it, and of course, they kind of changed what the big off about it thing was, but anyway. So, I mean, yeah, I do love he kind of has the Carlton Banks look going on for him here, where he has like the very collegial kind of like sweater, kind of like tie like a tennis player or something. I don't know, so I'm like, hey, Jacob seems quite pleasant. He's giving some genuine compliments there as he compliments Jerry's sweater along with the apron. By the way, the sweater has an animation era. All the Christmas trees are upside down. Okay. So, also real quick, Jerry's father is voiced by Dana Carvey, Garth himself.
Oh, nice.
I gotta tell you, really nice understated performance from Dana Carvey too, by the way. Okay, let's see. So after that, so we had plot, Tiki. We had a holiday plot established. So, in kind of touching on Jacob, his parents explained that, oh boy, it's been a rough year because after Jerry's dad's brush with cancer and the death of Jerry's uncle, they're trying to, really living again. They're living life, taking it a day at a time, kind of living it to the max, so to speak. Everyone's all pleasant and nice with Jacob, and as this happens, Rick re-enters the frame and he borrows Morty for a moment.
And I love the way they word it. They're basically just like, what we're going to be doing is we're trying to make a collection of real experiences, and then Jacob came into our lives and we're learning to live again, and then Jacob kind of like embraces them, like, yeah, all three of us.
Which is nice, and then of course good foreshadow for what that reveal is.
And then Jerry kind of is just awkwardly like, okay, so who wants eggnog? Oh man, this man's got the apron and the eggnog.
Hey, eggnog, trope.
Nog.
Yes.
I'm actually surprised that wasn't in the Honeymooners.
Yeah. Well, again, they had fourth wall breaks that literally spelled out the meaning of Christmas in the best of ways. And what more do you want? You want eggnog? Is that it? They spelled out the magic of Christmas, and you want eggnog.
Okay.
So spoiled. Anyway, so
yes, Rick grabs Morty, and this is when we get into like the early season stuff here, where it's like we're just putting Morty into an impossible situation against his will.
Here's what's so delightful about it, and this is something you don't have nowadays on Rick and Morty, because logically you wouldn't do this now, where in the early seasons you could have kind of this great breakneck pace of we don't need to establish anything. We're in Morty's shoes, having all this thrown at us in the moment. Where of course seasons later, Morty will just be he'll be used to it. And like, oh yeah, I know how Rick thinks. I know exactly. Yeah, that's what he would do. Like I'm rolling along. It's weird. I'll mention that it's weird. But again, now he's just going along with anything. Where this season, it's like being thrown at him. He's like process. Like, wait, what? Like, basically, like he's asking like, what's going on here? He just sees the homeless man, naked and strapped.
He's in bad shape, Morty. What do you do, Rick? What kind of monster do you think I am, Morty? I'm sitting here trying to save the man's life.
So then again, basically he's just instantly
this is another season 1 thing, is that in season 1 Rick was like super manipulative and would like constantly turn stuff around on Morty.
Yeah, and he's strapping him. He's just without even getting any consent. He's like preparing him for the shrink down, like putting like little apparatus and everything on the helmet and everything. He says, "Okay, look, when you get down there, you're going for Dr. Xenon Bloom." It basically has no time to explain to him what's going on. I have no time to explain. More, that's one of the great charms of Rick Sanchez. Like, he'll throw you into it. And he's like, no time to explain. Just hold your breath, or else your lungs are going to collapse. Says, wait, what? And of course, he's then shrunken, and basically, like, kind of Fantastic Journey. He is shrunken and put into a needle, like an adrenaline needle, and injected right into the chest. As Beth enters, says, "Hey, where's Morty?" He's busy.
Morty, busy.
Saying that weird kind of
again. Sorry, I can't do the belch thing, but we get a lot of great belches this episode.
Yeah, and folks,
that's one of the things from season 1 again that they very much toned down. In season 1, the belches were all over the place.
Yeah, I tell you, folks, it's like one of the things with Rick and Morty where, again, a lot of it, I can't really fault Rick and Morty. It's just a lot of it, some of it's a subjective thing with comedy. It's not my taste sometimes.
I just think the belches are so funny just because of the way that Justin Roiland actually does the belches.
At the very least, I never liked how it was. I never liked the green stuff on his mouth all the time. I always looked kind of like, I don't know, that was always kind of. Anyway, again, that's just my own taste. I'm not saying it's what they do. It's their stuff. It's like the whole. It's like if you don't like that, like you don't like the little weird kind of squished eyeball, little pupil, like little kind of. The pupil design, Rick.
Or like the weird little like squiggly W that they have for the mouth sometimes.
Yeah, they have a dirty in joke for what that's called, but I can't say that here. Boy. So, okay. Let's see. Morty gets shrunk down. As he gets shrunk down, I love my gadgets. I love my pseudoscience here. So I love that Rick is on this headset that's kind of attached to the neck piece of the helmet. That Morty has on, and basically Rick is like monitoring him and kind of communicating with him through that. And he says "Well, where am I?" Because now he's just in the human body. And of course, the human body is like one of my that's the things that so I'm uncomfortable with this episode on principle in some regards. Like I'm just like, again, if they didn't have the stuff that follows in this sequence here, I would have been like, oh man, I hate going outside the human body. It's gross. Rick on the headset welcomes Morty to
Anatomy Park.
Of course, he says it with such relish. He relishes the opportunity. Anatomy Park.
It's a little business venture I've been cooking up on the side, Morty.
Yeah, it's kind of gross yet whimsical. Again, I'm turned off by. It's hard for me to go back to Osmosis Jones sometimes because the human body stuff nowadays.
Fuck Osmosis Jones.
It was awfully nostalgic, though.
I mean, I feel like Osmosis Jones is one of those bad nostalgic movies where even as a kid, you kind of acknowledged it wasn't a great movie.
That's what I mean. It was a cop movie, but it basically was the way of getting an animated cop movie as.
Yes, because the only way we can do an animated cop movie is if they're inside the human body. Makes total sense.
I know. Look, I'm not trying to justify the premise here. I'm just saying it was grasping at straws as a kid to get animated cops after Batman. All right, all right. It only gets so much anyway.
Again, Brad Bird, black and white detective story.
Oh, he almost did it once with the Spirit. Come on, Warner.
That or a Brad Bird, Fleischer Superman movie.
Give me something. Just give me anything with Brad Bird. I'll be there. Anything with Brad Bird's name on it, with him as a director. Anything. Anyway.
All right, so Rick's kind of running through the attractions. Do you have any of the attractions besides the big one of the episode?
Yes, I do. So first off, by the way, a little fun fact to it here. Originally, so it wasn't Anatomy Park the whole time. Originally, it was going to be like a Willy Wonka factory down there initially, and then the idea was they were going to go to inside the human body, and it was going to be like Apocalypse Now. They had a lot of really random ideas before they settled on Anatomy Park. So you see the logo and everything. It looks like it's basically a human body skeleton in the shape of the T-Rex. It's basically we see Jurassic Park kind of as the way we've always wanted to see it, and it's a fully realized amusement park. And yes, this business venture is crafted with Bloom. We see. I love the logic that they put it in the body because it was cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So we have. We have Spleen Mountain, which is kind of like if not Splash Mountain, and then Space Mountain, but with Spleen, I think. You have Bladder Falls. You have Pirates of the Pancreas, and those just to name a few.
You got a problem with that last one, Morty?
I'm just describing it as I see them. And of
Pirates of the Pancreas is my baby, Morty. I got a little pushback when I pitched it, so I guess I'm still a little defensive.
Now, this is truly hilarious that Roiland is doing here. Basically, he plays this as one of the few things in life that Rick Sanchez actually does care about, because he feels a little neurotic. He feels a little insecure about Pirates of the Pancreas because he believes in it, but no one else does. It's sort of like a Roy versus Walt issue. Like, I believe in this, but my bros. He's like the Roy Disney in all of it almost.
I mean, honestly, I think the comparison is more kind of like Michael Eisner, like, oh, we should put a bunch of adult-orientated stuff at Disney. It'll be great. Then everyone's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know, Michael.
Yeah. So let's see. So again,
I mean, you're the boss, so we'll do it, but I don't think Superstar Limo is the best idea. No, I need that Drew Carey animatronic.
Yeah, that was so ridiculous. You think he took that home? No, he didn't take that home.
Sell me a map to your house, Drew Carey.
Anyway. So let's see. So again, one of the few things Rick Sanchez actually cares about and is very defensive about.
And of course, folks, our little headcanon is that the reason why he's defensive about this is that, as we learn in season 3, one of the very few weaknesses of Rick Sanchez is his crippling fear of pirates.
Yes, and again, I've deflated the man's. I can.
You know what? I don't care, Dragon. I said it's headcanon, okay?
All right. So while it's headcanon, I'm just going to say it officially on the record. That is not what happened in the writers' room. I can confirm that. Okay.
But you know what? They're embracing it, though. They're embracing, like, hey, it's a trippy coincidence, and I like that.
All right.
Kind of like a happy accident.
I'll give you that. Absolutely is a happy act. I will give you that. And
because it's like, I really do feel like the passion that Rick shows for Pirates of the Pancreas kind of like mirrors his crippling fear. I really do think it checks out that Pirates of the Pancreas is like his therapy almost.
I can say with almost 100% certainty, I can say with, like, let's say 90% certainty that what most likely what's going to happen now is that after that pirate gag in season 3, there have been fans and online message boards and such that have pointed out the other Pirates of the Pancreas things, and now the writers are aware of it, and they realize, oh, it was a happy accident. And I agree with your headcanon. The headcanon is quite clever, though. Of like, hey, it's he was so insecure, and that insecurity turned it into a profound fear of, like, all his inadequacies come forth when he thinks of pirates now, and the pirates are.
I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking of Pirates of the Pancreas as a way for him to, like, conquer his fear.
Okay, that's possible too, I guess. I like that. That works even better, I guess.
Okay.
Anyways, forget the psychology over here. So we're going inside the body. We're not going inside the bed.
Regardless, but I think it's safe to say that Pirates of the Pancreas is the most memorable part of this episode.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Yeah. So let's see. So then we have the sign gang, and the sign gang is very indicative of a Walt Disney park. Of, like, you have all these signs pointing to different rides and such. Like there's the colon log ride. There's the cerebral cortex carousel. Right there. Anyways, we get on the. It's a really sweet monorail. It's really cool. I think it's like an artery monorail or something. It's really cool. And this takes them to the Haunted Liver. I wonder what that's a reference to.
Ruben's had some rough years, Morty. Don't judge. I mean, you don't agree to have a theme park put inside you if your life's going great, Morty. And again, I love how Rick is just constantly trying to be on the moral high ground in this episode.
Love it too. So he goes inside a Haunted Liver, and we see, like, this animatronic werewolf, and he says, "Oh, Morty, there's no real monsters. The real monster.
The only monster here is alcoholism, Morty."
That's still, I love that line. We have some good lines in this episode. So then we meet Pancho. Now Pancho is this giant kind of commando-looking, kind of vaguely Carl Weathers-looking guy from basically Carl Weathers-looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Predator, right?
Yeah.
Predator. Sorry, I don't know why I was blanking on that for a moment. He is voiced by Gary Anthony Williams, the mutant leader from Dark Knight Returns, and of course various other roles. He's very well known for, particularly from the Boondocks. But I'm just focusing on the positive here. Yes. So he meets Pancho, very aggressive, and then he meets my favorite guest star in this episode. He meets Dr. Xenon Bloom, voiced by the wonderful John Oliver.
Ah, nice.
I can't get enough of John. I love John Oliver. He's delightful. He really is.
I'm not a big.
I'm not saying he's.
Guy.
I like him.
I don't hate him or anything, but I think he's an acquired taste.
Fine, fine.
All right.
Anyway, so John Oliver discrepancies aside, we also meet Roger and Annie.
Yep.
Or quite possibly, I'm going to write them. You can tell me how much this makes sense to you. Do you think they're kind of a parody of Tim and Lex from Jurassic Park?
I honestly, I didn't really get that. Only like Annie might be like Lex because she is smart, and we all know that Lex is a hacker, of course.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Roger, I don't think is indicative of Tim at all because he's pretty much a grown ass man.
He's most likely, what was it, Muldoon?
I was thinking more Grant.
More Muldoon, but by all means, I guess.
Right, whatever.
Does really have Alan Grant's kind of business? Is that kind of a song and dance man like Alan Grant? You know. Anyway, so of course I love the collar speaking touch. That basically when Rick wants to communicate, like a little speaker pops out of the collar there to kind of communicate via Morty, which is nice. So basically our big plot point here. Again, folks, I know this doesn't really sound all seasonal and holiday-esque, but it's getting there. Don't worry. Don't just you know, we need to go internally. We need to internally experience the holiday because again, this is in the belly of a Santa. Never forget that this is in the belly of a Pearl Harbor Santa Claus.
God.
So essentially, the main plot within our Santa Claus, again keeping it all holiday kind of relative here, the security system has failed, which means in classic Jurassic Park logic in play here, the exhibits are unlocked and they have escaped.
Oh yeah,
which is not good. To quote The Dark Knight, so that's not good. Anyway. So Xenon explains that the main attractions
it isn't music or food or pirates.
Just says pirates. Just says pirates like pirates, and of course Rick just hears that. Just hey. So basically, he's crafted a museum for diseases, all these various diseases within this body, and kind of made like the Jurassic Park-esque monsters and dinosaurs and such, but through diseases, which are much more horrifying, to be frank. So basically, your living museum's a living safari, which is not good for our guys. So we cut from basically again, like I believe hepatitis C.
No, it's A.
A, right? Yeah. A. So anyway, so hepatitis A is kind of our giant, almost, if not, I think later on we kind of say it's more of a raptor, but I guess technically it's kind of initially plays like a kind of a T-Rex, I guess. The point is, the hepatitis A is, it's like, boom, and it appears like, run, and we cut from run to outside the Santa to Christmas dinner.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so it's Christmas dinner. What's going on?
Who goes in your mouth, girl?
Jacob's being all like all sassy and all familiar and such. Like, oh, you. So
so Jerry. Also, let's call it right now. Jerry is definitely the Scrooge in this episode.
Most assuredly, and again, so I'm reading here my notes here. So yeah, so Jacob originally was a deadbeat with a sinister LSD kind of payoff. So Jacob really was living up to Jerry's suspicions initially, but they kind of went the other way with that, which I think was kind of smart though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jerry's just asking. He wants the specifics about Jacob and his parents.
Are you their caretaker?
And then basically Jerry's mom saying, we'll talk about it a little later, like some other time. And then this is where Dana Carvey's winning me over, man. It's like Dana Carvey gives such a great performance here. And here's the thing, a part of me wishes Jerry was a lot more like his father. By the same token, I realized if he was like that, then Beth wouldn't flirt with divorce. Therefore, there would be no kind of B plots of the show. So we can't have that.
Well, that's kind of like the inherent never-ending problem of Rick and Morty is that the only B plot ever involves divorce, but...
True, and to be fair, they've acknowledged that, so I can't really take points away for that. So the point is, so Dana Carvey, wonderfully, here he says he's very. I'm sorry, do you have the lines here?
Let's see. Dana Carvey, he's basically saying, let's all live and die honestly.
Yeah, basically, I'm going to come clean. He's going to be really on Front Street with Jerry here with the family. Again, he's really talking up like, oh my God, this is, it's we live this way now. We want to live a different way, and again, that's like, oh my God, I'm supportive of whatever you guys are into. And of course, Jerry's wants, I'm dead. What are you saying? So then,
God.
so sorry, I was trying to figure out. So he's not.
Well, son, your mother and I have been around have shared 40 years of each other. And when eternity is at the door, it's an invitation to share and experiment.
So Beth's very supportive, and we learn that Jacob indeed is not their caretaker or necessarily lover. He's more specifically Jerry's mom's lover, while his father watches. Sometimes, this is by the way, I learned this is a Dan Harmon line. He pitched the closet gag here, where it's like sometimes from a closet, almost always dressed as Superman. that was a Harmon line, right? That the Superman line was Harmon's.
Oh.
So there is a name for this, but I don't think I've learned this from Kevin Smith. There is a name for this sort of thing, and it's quite horrifying. But let's not say it.
I'm sure it is.
Hollywood Babylon. You learn a lot of stuff when you watch it, when you listen to Hollywood Babylon, folks. I'll say that much. So let's see. So again, he's very lovingly acted and communicated, but this is a bombshell for Jerry. So again, I love how Rick and Morty, they found a balance here of saying something really off the wall and strange, yet again, it's communicated in such a loving, cordial way. And for a change, I'm in Jerry's shoes here. Like, I would be taken a little aback by this, I gotta admit.
I would be too.
Yep. So,
and then to top it all off, Jacob is like in his new self. He's just like, oh man, this ham has got to be all you, Jerry.
Which is nice. And then,
happy human holiday, Dad.
I love that deliver from Summer so much. I think it's a wonderful framing from Jerry's POV for that shot. Just happy human holiday. It's like the ultimate screw you, Dad moment. It's great. And I gotta tell you, they're really selling the ham here. We don't really have a product this episode. We definitely have like ham.
I mean, unless we want Anatomy Park in itself to be the product.
Well, sure. I'm just saying that's kind of more of like kind of a franchise than a
right.
Anyway, well, I guess the Hamlin brand ham, but we put the ham in Hamlin.
How have we never made that connection before?
And here's how Hamlin makes it. Here's how Hamlin makes it his own tea. One of two things. One, he has Hamlindigo string on the ham.
Oh my God.
That's my pick. Or more literally, you could have you heard of green eggs and ham? How about Hamlindigo eggs and ham? Or Hamlindigo ham.
Oh man! All right, let's kind of get out of the Howard Hamlin rabbit hole here.
All right. We're by all means we'll make more Hamlin jokes as
I'm sure we will.
Goes on. So anyway, off of the Hamlin back to I believe we're now going back inside the Santa.
Yes.
So they essentially they're fleeing to the respiratory area, the respiratory system of our Santa Claus. Again, keeping it all holiday related, folks. Our Santa. Which leads to they discover that now, I like the pseudoscience behind this. Again, kind of the Osmosis Jones logic, if you will. That basically, definitely smart on Osmosis Jones. I'll give you that. My point is that they discover the brain is not getting enough oxygen, which of course has caused the system to shut down. Which is a really clever plot point. Yeah. It's not just a knockoff of Jurassic Park. They're actually doing some stuff with this. So we have the mascot.
Joke about the mascot head.
I wish they named this mascot. Did you get a name on the mascot?
No, I did not.
I know what his real name is. I don't know what the mascot's name is.
Put your head back on.
Yeah, that's a great John Oliver. Put your head back on. I tell you, that Oliver's delightful. So Dr. Bloom explains, whatever you do, tells is it Poncho or it's Poncho, right? He tells Poncho. Whatever you do, don't shoot. Don't shoot in this room, or it's my life's work. Don't shoot here. And basically, and this is actually a horrifying factor they learned in the writers' room. They do their research on Rick and Morty most of the time, and so basically they use this little tuberculosis factoid that basically, if you've had trauma to the lungs, your scar tissue is technically somewhat tuberculosis-y.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Basically, this is explained to Annie. And of course, we then reveal We reveal this as Morty's kind of bouncing off of the little, I forget what the little balls are, but the little kind of lung balls, little, got a little, yeah, a little like
scientific name for it, lung balls.
I'm sorry, can you do any better right now?
No, I can't. No, I cannot.
Anyway, so the little lung tissue, I guess, like the ball tissue thing, whatever. So basically, Morty's bouncing his way to the catwalk, and as he does this,
I'm not doing it to be a hero. I'm doing it because it's fun.
Which is a delightful, joyous line. Our guy Poncho, he shoots. He shoots it basically. I'm trying to think what it was. This. Yeah, it was. I guess it. Oh, it was escaped tuberculosis. That's what it was. It was some tuberculosis escaped, as if it were like dinosaur eggs that had hatched. And this giant like spidery, all these spidery tuberculosis that have escaped, and he's starting to shoot him wild, which of course leads to coughing because now there's like holes in the scar tissue that's been agitated. So then we have everyone flying through basically this flying air tunnel effect on people as like they're being sucked into the ceiling essentially. And we then have this really awesome death, one of the coolest deaths in a while. Again, I'm sure Rick and Morty's has topped a cool death like this, but it was really refreshing seeing how early on they made a cool death like this. So Alexander is our mascot. Rick's holding on, Morty's holding on to him for dear life, and Alexander just like, yeah, he can't hold on, and he goes, and basically he is kind of the fantastic and the mundane here. Alexander is shot like at Mach 10 up through the ceiling, essentially up through the lungs, and to his death. He's going so fast, like the skin and the bone and everything peels away from the guy.
It's very early Adult Swim-esque in its animation, Dragon. It's very much like Adult Swim kind of has the tendency to be like, yeah, we're gonna fucking just show you all the graphic nature of it. We're gonna push the boundaries here.
Very Metallica metal-esque, it's very, really, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So basically, as he's being coughed at like Mach 10 to his death, we see on the outside just like coughed in like Rick's face. So then again, Rick is like, okay, he's in action mode here. Okay, I'm gonna cure your tuberculosis, and then as he's about to like inject the cure, Ruben dies. You killed Santa. Okay, nobody's dead. So Rick, and this is a hilarious line. I love that they made fun of this in the writers' room. Rick has this. Do you have Rick's line?
Yes, I do. Well, you're trapped in a dead man. If the situation darkens, I'd head for Pirates of the Pancreas. I mean, I know I'm biased, but it's really special, Morty. It's a bunch of pirates running around a pancreas. And believe me, Morty, the pirates get real rapey.
Well, that's great, and that's funny, and that's exactly what happens. I was referring to the whole, well, I can't cure death.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
And that's like something they list out in the writer's room that, Rick, so far, he cannot cure death. It's just like a running gag, at least something they've kind of put in the play. But yes, so they basically have to evacuate a dead body, and but he's in full, but hey, if you can, swing by the Pirates of the Pancreas, right? And essentially, I don't know if you kind of were alluding to this with that line, or I assume you picked up on this. It's kind of a commentary on, I don't know how recent it changes this. This might be purely coincidental, and you probably weigh in on this. It sounds like I read this as the change that they made to the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Where now it's super, it's super rapey like the original. Yeah, with the whole redheaded lady and the whole auctioning the redheaded lady.
Well, first of all, that this episode is a few years old, and that redhead stuff didn't come up until like last year.
Probably coincidental.
Yeah, I would say coincidental. I think that's kind of reaching.
But kind of funny though, when in retrospect, when you look back at it, it's kind of like it was somewhat timely ahead of its time with that.
I mean, if anything, it would be the pooped pirate who would be rapey, but I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other rabbit hole.
All right, so the point is that was an offshoot of so again, I got nothing. Okay, so let's see. Oh yeah, so then okay, they're on the outside now. It says, "Oh, what's that smell?" It says, "Oh, the Panda Express." Kidding. That kidding line that was put in there because Dan Harmon's like, "Why are we making fun of Panda Express and just enrolling that?" I love the dynamic between Harmon and Roy, and they seem like a good comedy pair here because in the writers' room it just goes like this a lot of the time. Harmon will usually Harmon's the downer in the room. He's like the guy saying, "I don't know about this," and then Royland's like, "Oh hey Dan, look they'll fix they'll probably cut it anyway. We'll be fine." That's usually what their dynamic is, and it's like a lot of the time the lines that Dan Harmon's not crazy about, Royland will assure him that either works or like, they'll cut it in post anyway. It's fine. Let's leave it in there. And of course, 9 times out of 10, the lines make it to air every time. So there's the whole like, why do we have to make a knock against Panda Express? And like Roland's like, who cares? So the body, the reason for the smell is that the body is filling with gas. Big plot point. Gas. Body's filling with gas, and the digestive tract is the exit. Ha! Which is quite funny. So let's see. So then, it will lead to the enlarging red, and we'll get out of there. So bada bing, bada boom, saved. Dr. Bloom tells Morty, he's kind of telling him on the side here, he's kind of whispering to Morty, hey, because again, Morty's the only one he can trust in the situation, that this was an inside job, which means there's a traitor in our midst, and he thinks it might be Annie.
Annie was written up several times by her manager at the churro stand.
That's a great line. So then we're thinking, what ride do we go on next?
Well, first of all, I really love the the failed delivery on Morty's part after Poncho's like, "Oh, I'm not taking orders from a 12-year-old," and then he walks by Annie, and he's like, I'm actually 14, not 12. She's like, okay, because he just said I was 12. Oh, good for you.
And then Rick is like criticizing him.
Strike one.
God, he does earn major points with the girl later on. It's all fine.
Then they go on. It's a small intestine.
Yeah, again, I love the joy from John Oliver in this scene right here. It's just, and then we get on the large intestine. I was just thinking that's what I'm talking about. Oliver is just these. Honestly, here's the thing.
It very much fits with the John Hammond of it all. John Hammond is like the most excited person for these attractions.
I gotta tell you what, real quick, I just want to say, on the whole, what I love about John Oliver is he makes he makes politics exciting. He makes politics funny. He's literally just telling it as it is, but his delivery is what makes it entertaining. A lot of the time, he's just saying what happened in the news, but he's basically communicating and like, yes, and literally, he said this when in the past he had said this, and it's funny. I
mean, that's frankly like the other people have done that better in the past, but
I'm saying before it was as easy as it is now. Tiki. Anyway, the point is. Anyway, so then we have the gonorrhea T-Rex gag.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Yeah. So we see it.
I'm sorry.
I'll go on.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead because I kind of got lost in my notes. I'm sorry.
All right, so we see the Poncho's starting to like Morty because the gonorrhea T-Rex appears, and then Morty has the idea of like, wait a minute, didn't you say this?
Oh wait, I've got the gag. So Bloom is like, don't move. The gonorrhea can't see us if we don't move. Oh, wait, I was wrong. I was thinking about a T-Rex.
Now they're running from the gonorrhea, and they realize, oh, wait a minute, this body's full of gas, and Poncho, again, seems to be on Morty's side. I'm sort of like this kid, and he basically, I'm seriously, how's this for a burning sensation, as he lights it with fire. Which is quite a cool line. And this wins Alice over.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I'm sorry, Annie. Sorry, I was thinking Flying Motors for a second. This wins Annie over. Okay, let's see. So then,
Alice, you left me for a 12-year-old? Oh, I'm 14, Mr. Crampton. Get out of here, kid. All right, I'm sorry.
All right. So we're on the outside of the Santa. Yeah, again, back to more Christmas.
Summer's singing a very delightful Christmas drum song.
Yeah, they're all kind of doing this kumbaya drum circle going on here. They're playing bongos. Who brought bongos? That's the real question. Why? Anyway, So they're playing with their bongos there, making a little drum song, a little happy circle here to Jerry's dismay. Jerry's like the only one kind of in a sour mood here, where Beth is looking on the bright, says, "Yeah, maybe they're onto something." And let's be here for each other. And of course, as things are kind of going on there, who crashes the party?
Ethan.
Yeah,
Everyone loves Ethan.
yeah, yeah. We did have a payoff to this, though. Remember, we do some stuff with Ethan in season 3, actually.
Mm.
Yeah. So Ethan's crashing Christmas to get into a fight with Summer, basically in a panic over, why aren't you answering your phone? And saying, well, he confiscated it. And of course, like, there's kind of blowing everybody's mind, like, Summer, you had a boyfriend, you didn't tell us about it. So then Jacob intervenes, says, you know what, Jerry, you really need to connect with your family.
No disrespect.
Yeah, again, I love he's just very non-combative about it. Like, Jerry, no disrespect, you got to communicate with your family more. So as that's going on, let's see.
Roger is accessing the generator to get the growth ray back online.
And our set piece, of course, the end of the large intestine ride. It's the large intestine ride. At the end of that, we have the Great Sphincter Dam.
Yes, God.
So this, I love the horror of which, honestly, John Oliver has this great horrifying build to what this is here, where he says, which is basically, they use this to plug up a hole, basically cork in all the bad stuff. And now that the body, basically, when you die, you avoid your bowels a lot of the time, assuming you still have stuff left. And the idea is like now it's like you can hear like filling the other side, just waiting to burst. So it's like it's really I gotta tell you, it's ridiculous. And again, it's like it's making some fecal humor funny here, but by the same token, I love how genuinely imposing it is from that molecular scale, from that kind of cell. Right. Maybe not molecular, maybe cellular scale. I guess it's cellular because I'm thinking of Dr. The point is from a microscopic scale.
Mm-hmm.
So they discover very, I think more accurately, I think it's Lost World more so, but I've seen parodies of it. Kind of when they're pairing Jurassic Park, you do sort of this gag, the whole stealing the T-Rex, the baby T-Rex eggs.
Well, yeah, that's definitely Lost World.
Yeah, it was more Lost World. Even Tarzan had a really good episode where they parodied Jurassic. I'm sorry, I'm good. I was about to go on a tangent. I won't do that here. Let's just end. I'll remind me of it later. I'll tell you about this Tarzan episode later.
Okay.
So they discover the bubonic plague egg, tiny little sampling of bubonic plague, I should say, in Poncho's backpack, and of course, basically reveal that Poncho was Nedry all along, and Nedry wore a poncho. See, that's the funny thing. Nedry wore a poncho, so it's kind of is a giveaway if you're really paying attention.
Sure.
So he's the traitor, and he basically, the idea is he's selling the short of it is he's selling plagues to terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, he takes Annie hostage. He
kind of goes off on a rant about like, oh, and that's what you get for giving me an iTunes gift card for Christmas. I mean, really?
That is a hilarious rant, and of course we have the unpopular holiday gift trope.
Yeah, and, we're gonna take the tropes where we can find them in this episode, folks.
But also, I love the rant that Gary Anthony Williams goes on here. He's saying Shriners and guys turned on by anime cartoons of Japanese teenagers. Like all that. It's
all right, so Morty jumps on him.
Yep, and by the way, we have a very assertive. The writers have pointed this out. And it's a very assertive Morty, and the reason for that is they stripped out as much of the Rick dialogue because originally Rick was just telling him all this cool stuff to do, and they took that out, and I thought it was a smart choice because it kind of makes Morty is a little assertive, and later on Morty does cool stuff. We kind of see a little seedling of it here, It jumps on
what I think that is that's a really good example of what I was kind of talking about with the Pirates of the Pancreas thing, is that just because they didn't really know that they were sowing a seed, like they still sowed the seed regardless. You know what I mean? So even if it wasn't the intention in the writer's room, it could still very much lead to something.
Sure, I'll give you that. Yeah.
All
right. Let's see. So again, a little fight breaks out there. Morty's just jumping on the guy and throws him around. Let's see. Okay, so the plague bites him. The bubonic plague bites Poncho, and he falls over, and as this happens, they're all running away because now, the transport is basically the dam's about to burst. Roger gets left behind, and as he's getting left behind, like, let's tell my wife I love her, and then things get a little overcomplicated. And says, my wife, she took the kids, and now she's at a new address, and like all that stuff.
It'll be a little hard to find her.
And of course, he is then swept away by a very gruesome, horrible way to go. If you can go, folks, don't go this way.
Yeah.
Don't shrink down into a dead Santa and kind of like get swept away and Finkel, basically in fecal horror. Just don't avoid that if you can in life. You'll go far if you can avoid that in life. So it's too late. Then we have a little intervention. Oh yes, now we're back outside the Santa, outside the dead Santa. Actually, dead Santa. We haven't had that in a while. There's a trope, dead Santa.
Okay, well, I mean, to be fair, the fact that we haven't, can we really call it a trope at this point if we've never had it?
No, we've had it before. We've had dead Santas before.
Oh, we have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought you said we'd never had it before. My bad.
No, I said we haven't had it in a while.
Oh yeah, okay, got it. I'm sorry.
Let's see. What was I getting at here? Okay, so intervention scene.
Where's anger coming from, Ethan?
So Ethan basically breaks down. He reveals his heart.
Coming from Summer being a total bitch.
A little more than that, as we learn.
And then I love how like Jacob doesn't take this as hostile at all. He just leans more into he's like, where is this anger coming from? Like, come on, man, communicate with me. Well, my brother took me. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm giving Ethan Morty's voice. My brother took me fishing once, and he made me get into the bushes, and he made me a girl. Oh God.
So basically, his
you are who you are.
Basically, there was a brotherly fishing violation of some kind that went on in poor Ethan's life, and then we have this really sweet reconciliation. And of course, it kind of goes from
Ethan and Tyler from 13 Reasons Why can form a support group.
I'm sorry, I'm flashing back to the ending of 13 Reasons Why season 2, and I'm just like, I'm now realizing. See, we were making a joke, and now I'm like, oh my god, that's so. I can't laugh at that. Bad, to quote the Hook, Tiki. It's bad form, Tiki. Bad form.
Bad form.
Harry, come on, man. Don't throw Tyler down at me when we're talking about that.
Okay.
That's not in the holiday spirit anyway. So as we have like a sweet little reconciliation of Summer and Ethan, they're together and they're kind of closer because she got kind of under the surface there and it ain't that cute. But then it kind of goes from ain't that cute to that was a little hot and bothered. There's something in the air. There's something. I guess I'm gonna throw this out. Here's a new trope. I don't know. A trope that we haven't covered before. I'm trying to think if it might be. I don't know. This probably been in some Hallmark movies I've seen. Kind of a holiday trope of getting a little heat in the air during Christmas, a little like romance in the air. In general, romance in the air during the holidays.
Well, I mean, definitely like movies like Snow and stuff kind of have that. But
oh yes, that's what I'm talking about. There's some good memories. Like, oh my god, Snow, yeah. Yes, of course. There's definitely some. Yeah, it's good. We can use that trope. So everyone's get a little hot and bothered, and then Jerry's father.
I just love the animation of the mother and Jacob getting into it, and then it just quickly. I love the edit where it quickly cuts to the father going into the closet
and it reveals the Superman shirt underneath.
Oh,
It's like, man, I don't know about Superman, but Clark Kent sure has some problems.
I gotta tell you, I am on Jerry's side on this one. I really.
I'm gonna kind of make a kind of very cheap joke here. But something that has occurred to me. Imagine this. Like, imagine if you kind of got around the famous, how do you not tell Clark Kent's Superman? Imagine this, like Lois Lane. It's like a Clerks conversation here, but just go with me on it. Here's the if like Lois is around the water cooler with the woman, she's saying, "Oh man, I tell you that Clark Kent, he's got kind of a tick about it when we're in the bedroom sometimes. He goes in the closet and he kind of he has the." Well, maybe not the closet. Basically, it's like that Clark Kent. He likes to dress up like Superman when we get intimate.
I know where you're going with this.
He just dresses up like Superman when we get intimate. And I gotta tell you, it's uncanny. It really does it for me. But it's imagine that. That would be the ultimate way of kind of subverting the whole thing. It's a thing with him, but
plain sight approach.
That's how you get away with it. That's kind of the Clerk's approach of it. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it.
anyway, get back on point. So, back on point.
Yes, yes.
Let's see. So after reconciliation, things are getting hot and heavy, and Jerry is very uncomfortable. Oh, it's Christmas Day again. So Beth calls Jerry and Beth get into it here. Says, "Hey, Christmas doesn't revolve around you. It doesn't revolve around what you hate, son."
Well, then I guess I hate Christmas. Enjoy being human. You guys are gross and lame.
Yeah, and again, this is Jerry before he gets on my nerves. This is Jerry of like, yeah, okay, I feel a little sympathy towards Jerry there. And it's kind of basically it's because he's still being funny. Like, oh, he's just so childish. It's like, yeah, it's kind of funny.
All right, meanwhile, we cut to Bloom eating ice cream, eating buckets of ice cream while watching a Great Moments with Ruben animatronic show.
Or like a Mr. Lincoln. Basically, kind of a mixture between Mr. Lincoln and the awesome kind of people. What do we call that thing where it's the audience? It's kind of like the Carousel of Progress in Jurassic Park, the giant thing that moves the audience around with the lab.
Well, I mean, that is the Carousel of Progress.
I know, yeah, okay. So I guess just basically Jurassic Park's version of the Carousel of Progress. I thought we kind of settled like maybe it had a name or something like that. Anyway, but yeah, sure. So basically, kind of mixture.
Are you saying what do we call the Jurassic Park version of that?
What do you call the Jurassic Park version of that?
I don't know. It's just like the I don't know. I never really thought about it. I always just think of it as the Carousel of Progress.
But essentially, it's kind of what you get a vibe with here. It's a bit of Carousel of Progress with the audience kind of homage there, and mainly it's Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. But with Ruben. So, so you're right. So, again, great homages here. Bloom eating the ice cream, Morty and Annie getting busy, or the quote syndrome, getting busy.
Oh, you can put your fingers wherever you want, Morty. Then Rick's listening in on the other line. You want to put it on mute, Morty?
By the way, apparently from the writers' room, all the sex stuff is like that's always placeholder. All the sex jokes are always placeholders and stuff that they were expecting the networks to tell them to change, yet it never happens. That's why they're getting away with the whole finger thing. And it's so Jerry, Jerry bugs Rick with an apology. He says, "Hey, Rick, I just want to say you're compared to the rest of the family here, you're the least crazy relative I have." It's a really nice scene between Jerry and Rick here, honestly. So then the base of the whole relative thing, relative gives them the relative size idea, which basically if I can't find a way to unshrink them, I'll just make the body bigger, essentially. Relative size to what I need to get them to escape. That's the logic there. And we have the whole like, Morty, can you get to the left nipple? I'm going to get to both if I can. So basically, as the body starts to decay, they got to hit the bone train. Of course, Dr. Bloom here really stresses, "Hey, you want to ride the bone train? The bone train." It's just nuts. It's a simple joke, but it's.
I love how Morty calls him out. He's just like, "Why are you doing this bit?"
So then, on the outside, I just love that Rick he's moving this dead naked Santa, and then Jerry's not really raising any eyebrows at this, just like loading it into a spaceship.
All right, I can see you're busy. No problem. Merry Christmas, Rick.
All right. So Dr. Bloom says basically the autopilot's not working, and he needs to operate basically the bone train manually so they can get away. And this is like, any volunteers? And there's a pause, and this to me.
No, you're right. It was a dick move for me to even pause like that.
This feels like John Oliver humor there too, where he's very. I'm not trying just to sell the John Oliver of it here, folks, but by the same token, it does feel like an Oliver bit here where he'll like over explain, like, "Oh no, I should have done this." So he says, "Yeah, that pause was a bad move," and they realize the stuff when the train leaves the station. That's an Oliver thing I can imagine there, where he's basically saying, "Oh, the autopilot actually doesn't work. Hey, come back." So the E. coli, which by the way I think there might be a mistake here. It looks exactly like mitochondria. But then again, I guess E. coli mitochondria.
No, Dragon.
Anyway, okay, so let's see. So Rick's going into space. He enlarges the body of the dead homeless Santa. So again, that's kind of a global Santa going on here. How does Santa Claus get across travel the world all in one day? He goes into space and he enlarges himself. That's the Rick Sanchez explanation. That's the Rick Sanchez explanation. So technically, we do have. Here's a trope, Tiki. Technically, we have Santa Claus going across,
Yes.
going across the planet.
Oh man.
All right, so basically we go around, we get the kind of the man on the street news reporter angle on this, and then we have so in New York we have Santa's nose and his eyes and everything, kind of Santa's head's around
Well,
New York.
I like that they have kind of like the cheesy news broadcast for that. His eyes aren't twinkling and the dimples aren't merry, but I'm standing under the nose of a 70-foot cherry.
And then L.A. L.A. has the big feet, and of course they imply, oh boy, I wonder if these feet are as big, even proportionally as they seem to be. The Rocky Mountains, they're in for something. Of course, in the Rocky Mountains, we see the shadow,
this giant phallic shadow, this imposing phallic shadow that just comes down.
Yes.
All right, and that's
Liam Neeson's in the nearby area anyway. So then we have it's a Hollywood Babylon joke. I apologize. So so again they're on the track, and then hepatitis A is on the track. It derails the whole train. Everything seems like they're goners. And by the way, this to me is the grossest thing in the whole episode for me here. The whole nipple hole thing really weirded me. I'm like, man, that's not right. I'm just saying, like, even some things should not be blown up to like planet, like space proportions. Like, come on, man, I never need to see in my life. Nipple hole, that's weird. Anyway, so that one just really weirds me out. So then
we're gross, disgusting sacks of organs. The human body in its own way is like it's meant to be as disgusting as possible.
I know, but it's never meant to be this big though.
Right, all right.
It's like a ton. It's like a gross version of the tunnel from The Fugitive. Like, I don't need that.
Okay. You were
so hepatitis
more bothered by it than I was.
Hepatitis A is I believe so. Hepatitis C saves the day. By basically this is the big homage. I'm sorry, you should take us through this. You deserve this one.
I deserve this one.
Yeah, Jurassic Park. You deserve this one. Go on.
Well, honestly, oh yes, you're right. I mean, I kind of think of it more in terms of the Phantom Menace than Jurassic Park, but yeah, you're right. It is Jurassic Park. Where hepatitis C comes in, swoops in, and eats hepatitis A, and then also I guess it is a Jurassic Park with the big thumbs up. Like, did we have some kind of relationship with him?
No, they're just good guys. Huh.
Also, meanwhile, Liam Neeson's like kind of in the background. He's just like, "There's always a bigger fish."
Anyway,
which is more what it reminded me of, Dragon. I'll be honest with you. All right. So meanwhile, Morty informs Rick that Dr. Bloom is dead. Rick is not happy.
Nope. They get evacuated, and they're basically Rick apparently just has sticks of dynamite for any occasion, and these sticks of dynamite were put into Reuben and also enlarged. And as they were enlarged, of course, the fuse, a little bit of a ticking clock there. And of course, the fuse goes out after they have escaped. And our dead Santa blows up, and he rains upon our happy little planet. And it's raining Santa. It's raining bodily parts of Santa all across the globe. A lot of blood rain. Disturbing, assuredly. And again, originally this might have tied into the LSD plot line, where the whole they're hallucinating stuff. So originally they were going to be hallucinating stuff, and then that would basically get Jerry to this reconciliation he makes at the end of the episode. But that's kind of it made it a little simpler, a little streamlined. I think it kind of reads that there's something missing here. We don't really have like a resolution. So okay, Jerry just comes around all of a sudden. I think it kind of like one little thing kind of shows in the B plot there. But Rick and Morty very self-admittedly.
What happens is that they see the blood and guts like raining down on them. It's supposed to be like a Christmas miracle kind of moment.
Yeah, it's still kind of halfway writing there.
I hear you. I'm not with it either. Really, it's just kind of like it's. I agree with you. It feels a little bit rushed.
Yeah. So let's see. So then, Beth raises like some real data about her marriage to Jerry. Then of course, hey, red rain, scary. And they'll, hey Jerry, what's happening? He says, oh well, this is happening. And of course, Jerry returns to the devices and everything and acknowledges that we learned. Basically, Summer acknowledges we didn't learn anything here. Why are we doing this? So yeah, at least they're very upfront about it. Yeah, this has no point. We're just ending the episode right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Rick mourns Dr. Bloom for a moment there. As he was
the only man capable of creating a new anatomy park.
And Annie apparently can carry on his work and was very supportive of Pirates of the Pancreas.
I personally think it was the park's most underrated attraction.
So right off the bat, I love it. Almost without a moment's hesitation, he then instantly shrinks Annie. And
Morty's just like, "Oh, come on!
What is
going there, Rick?"
What does Rick inform Morty of?
Oh, do I really have to say it?
Well, you had all the lines, but I mean, you don't have.
Let's just say Morty dodged a bullet with part of Annie's anatomy.
Yes, basically, kind of like the. Nah, never mind. I can't make that joke either.
Dragon, I really don't want to say it. All right,
I'm not going to make you say it. I'm just saying I was going to make a comparison to the design of Rick and Morty, but I can't.
All right.
In good conscience, I can't do this. When they make that certain face, folks, that's the problem. So, Rick criticizes he basically comes outside. They're all in their devices, and he criticizes the lack of humanity in this Christmas, the lack of human Christmas. And it's just basically the whole like kind of religious connotations of Christmas. Basically, I'm going to read into this, Diggy. It seems like this is kind of like maybe like kind of a reference to like kind of the Charlie Brown Christmas of it all. Like the whole like we don't have like our big going out on stage in the Christmas play and Linus explaining religion to us. We don't quite have that here, but this is like their version of it with Rick just kind of saying criticizing everybody, saying, "Hey, there's other stuff going on here."
Mm-hmm. Could be.
So then our ending. So our big take us through the big ending here, T. The big post-credit scene.
Yes. So Annie. Annie is communicating with Rick, and she has Alejandro, the chief of the Imagine Oregons. Imaginarians, I'm sorry. And Rick, of course, is instantly asking about Pirates of the Pancreas.
I love how tense he looks on the other side of the phone call.
And Alejandro jumps in. Rick, Alejandro here. Happy to meet you. Well, the thing is, we asked ourselves, what does a pancreas do? It makes insulin. It doesn't create pirates.
Then Rick just instantly hangs up, and we reveal.
And then, oh my god, I love how Rick just kind of goes off on this rant to Ethan. He's so pissed off.
But not only do we see Ethan, you still the folks why Ethan is there,
because he's the new anatomy park.
Yes, and of course, like folks, we need like another island in the Lost World. In this case, we just need another body. That's how we can do another one. Sequels.
So wait, those guys are building a theme park inside of me? No, Ethan. Those guys are inside of you building a piece of shit. They're inside of you building a monument to compromise. Fuck those people. Fuck this whole thing, Ethan.
I just love that line. Monument of compromise. I love that. How do I get paid? And of course, that's yes.
All right. Final thoughts, Dragon.
Final thoughts. Look, it's not my favorite episode. It is kind of clever, though. I'll give it that. It's definitely clever in a lot of places. Really, kind of with the dialogue specifically. It's definitely it definitely shows that the story has changed. Again, our B plot definitely went through changes. Definitely kind of shows, I think, in the kind of lack of solution. And again, it's not really afraid of it, but it's kind of acknowledging it, which doesn't necessarily fix the problem, but at least it's kind of not making us look stupid for going along with it. It's really an interchangeable Christmas episode. There's barely Christmas. You could have made any holiday, honestly.
Again, it probably would have thematically fit better as Thanksgiving.
I agree with you there. So retroactively, for our purposes, this is a terrible choice for Christmas in July. But again, as an episode, it's not a bad Rick and Morty episode, just not my favorite.
It's a fun Rick and Morty episode to review, for sure.
Sure. But here's the thing, though. While it is an interchangeable Christmas, it is kind of befitting of a Rick and Morty stance on Christmas, though, where it's not really about Christmas. It's more so about how kind of Christmas is just kind of more about kind of surface level stuff. And when you try to do like a human Christmas, it really isn't really about anything. Yep. In that respect, it is kind of true to Rick and Morty. So it's, interesting.
Yeah, I probably enjoy this episode a little bit more than you do.
Yeah,
but it's still not. It's definitely not my favorite Rick and Morty episode by any stretch. I'd honestly probably say it's one of my least favorite of season 1.
It's no
if I'm
Rick
being
Lantis
honest with
mix-up.
you. What?
It's no Rick Lantis mix-up. Or, well, sorry, not mix-up. It's no Rick Lantis.
Well, dude, that's season 3, not season 1. Come on
Well, I
now.
know. I'm just saying. I mean, that's amazing. It's still probably top tier.
It's no Rick Potion. It's no Me Seeks and Destroy. Me Seeks and Destroy is my favorite episode of Rick and Morty. Dragon.
Me Six is really good, but I really do like that. The I think the second episode, the Lawnmower Dog, is that what they call it? The
Lawnmower
one that
Dog. Yeah, yeah.
that's a good one. I'm saying I think I'd like Lawnmower Dog more than this one.
Sure. Regardless, like I said, I think the best thing about this really is the Pirates of the Pancreas stuff. Honestly, this feels more like a season 3 episode in the season 1 timeline, which is interesting, where it's very much kind of got that sort of like hyper violent, kind of crazy, anything can happen sensibility to it. And it's not really all that high concept. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is like it's pretty damn high concept when you have a giant Santa Claus like floating over the world and then it blows up and it rains blood. But compared to Rick and Morty, it's not, I guess it's not really thought provoking like Rick and Morty can be at times. So it's a good episode. It's certainly not a great Christmas episode. Like, obviously, the Honeymooners way overshadows it for the actual Christmas of it all, obviously. But, you know, as the oddball choice of the season, Dragon, I think we could have done worse. Like, this definitely isn't as out of left field as like the Courage Nutcracker episode or anything.
Sure. All right, let's peek beneath the wrapping paper a little here. Let's go into a kind of a microscopic level here and see what's we're talking about next time.
All right, so next time we're talking about The Flash, and we're going to do the season 2 Christmas episode.
Oh yes, and boy, oh boy, folks, it's a good one. It has a really good guest star. It's I mean, the last Flash Christmas we talked about was one of my absolute favorites. It was again, it had Reverse Flash in it, which made it one of the best ones ever. Because again, I love Reverse Flash. But this one is also a really good one. It's different. Definitely inlaid in season 2, but it's a delight. It's a nice heartwarming one too. It has like heartwarming morals and such. I think we're gonna get a kick out of it. It's not as like dramatic as oh my god, Reverse Flash. But big stuff happens. The big character stuff. Again, you gotta remember, folks. A lot of the Christmas episodes are mid-season finales, so big stuff happens.
I haven't seen any of season 2 yet, so I'm a little worried about if I'll be
on it. We'll see if we can remedy that. We'll see. We'll see. All right.
I wouldn't, trust me. I wouldn't, especially these next couple days
well,
at work. I wouldn't hold my breath.
Maybe let's not deflate the balloon on air, but okay. Anyway, so.
Okay,
right.
So troops.
Yes, not a lot here, but okay. Big in-laws coming for Christmas.
Preparing a Christmas dinner. I guess like Christmas traditions.
Dead Santa.
Sure, Dead Santa.
The Drifter guest star.
Like bizarro, hyper-violent version of Christmas.
Sure. Kind of the Christmas moral, but not really well delivered.
Right.
Stockings.
Sure, we do get stockings. You're right about that. Eggnog.
Incorrect Christmas sweaters.
Eggnog and ham.
Snow and I'll raise you blood snow. That's a new one.
Ooh, snap.
Right. Let me see. Is there anything
charitable around the holidays?
Sure. Yeah.
Also, Santa technically flying around the world.
Yes, in one day. And Christmas lights.
Yeah, okay. I'd say that just about covers it.
All right.
Oh, the in-laws, I guess.
Sure. Well, I thought I started off with that, but sure.
Well, no, sure. I more started out with like the dinner.
All right. Well, what, Tiki, I know we're kind of spinning our wheels talking about like all the tropes. And don't wrong, I enjoy that. It's a blast. But Tiki, it's just why on earth do we not have a name for this thing? It just bugs me. Cause I know we've talked about this before. We've never really the ink has never dried on what we should call this process. You know what I mean? We're talking about Rick and frickin' Morty here. Rick and Morty, they're all scientific. They're all about science. They're about something kind of self-referential, meta at times. You know, they're kind of next level thinkers. Why can't we be next level thinkers? Why can't we just simply, not even like a whole episode or anything, we just need like a little, just like a little line. We just need to grasp it. We need to grasp at greatness, grasp at the great straws of comedy gold and satirical brilliance here. We just need this to think here. We need to kind of jingle our thinking bells here. It's like if only there were a term that would be scientific and Christmassy to describe what we do here as a whole at doing Christmas in July. But I got nothing. You got any ideas?
Yeah, what about putting the mistletoe underneath the microscope?
That'll do it.
Next time on Christmas in July.
La 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 la.
This man's got the apron and the eggnog.